It is Thursday. Hello, everybody. It's Thursday, January 30th, 2025. It is 4:20 in the afternoon, and we're doing our last bit of budget adjustment for today. And we have Grady with us to talk about some more language. So Grady, do we have something in front of us or what?
Yes, you should have a packet.
Oh, this is it. Okay.
Grady Nixon Joint Fiscal Office. So the first few sections you'll see here are what the committee will be pulling into the BAA from the governor's recommended FY26 budget. So the first one that we'll start with is section C101. This is a reduction in appropriation from the current fiscal year's Budget Act to state-placed students. There's a $1 million.
Pause 1 second there, Grady. Let's remind everybody what this section C is.
So section C, you can think of as current year changes. So in the budget bill, there are C sections that make amendments to the current fiscal year. So in the governor's FY26 budget, there were a series of these types of sections included. The Joint Fiscal Office looked at them and determined that a number of them could be included in the Budget Adjustment Act. So the section number in the Budget Adjustment Act will not be reflected as a C section. I just wanted to show for the committee's purposes that this is coming from the FY26 recommended budget.
So it's nice to get stuff out of that budget so we can focus on other things, and this doesn't, it would be for this year anyway. So great. Thank you.
So this first is a $1 million reduction to the appropriation for state-placed students. Costs are lower than originally estimated.
Questions? No?
All right,
Go ahead.
but this is an indication that we spent out of the education. This is coming out, this is going back to the education fund.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, then you sort of talked about state post. Okay, I'm all
Yeah. Okay. Next.
On page 2, so this is a C section making further changes to Act 113, one-time miscellaneous appropriations. You'll see that there is a $2 million appropriation to the Vermont Economic Development Authority to establish a disaster relief fund. And this is being financed through a reduction in appropriation from 7 million to 5 million for BGAP. So this is a net neutral effect, taking 2 million from that $7 million BGAP appropriation.
So they're just splitting off 2 million and putting it somewhere else. So this is no new money.
Correct.
Okay.
And then on page 3.
No. I understand the revenue neutral part. I almost hesitate to ask, but are other people like the Commerce Committee going to want to sign off on this?
I would defer to Madam Chair on that.
I just
think it's a very
have
good
no
point.
idea. I mean, this may be totally legit. We're not spending it here and we could use it over here, but I just raised that question. Is it, what's the harm in not putting it in the BAA?
I think it's may depend on what it's in. I think you're right on this one. The state place is not a problem. Tom, is this yours?
It is, but this is the first time I've seen.
Well, it's the first time we've all seen it.
Right, so,
You're not behind yet.
yeah.
That's what I always say about myself, not behind yet. So that's a really good point.
Again, I don't know the issue and
So I guess we won't approve of any of this today. But Tom, if you want to have a chat with Chair Marcotte and just say, do you care whether it happens now or in the budget?
Brady wants to say.
Yes, I'll defer to the committee. I would flag for the committee that this was part of the governor's recommended, or the governor's FY26 budget speech. It was mentioned there. So I just believe the intention
Likes it.
yeah, is to the intention here is to make this sort of disaster relief for business funding a more permanent thing.
Right, and I'm thinking, we agree with you that probably we're gonna wanna not change this over here, but if you wanna just check with Chair Marcotte. They don't want them, if they have to take testimony and all that, we're just gonna put it off into 26, because they may want to chat about this. That's a new program.
Okay, I'm just curious about. What I'll ask about.
Okay. Okay, continue grading, thank you.
On page 3, so this is an $11 million appropriation. This is the estimated annual reconciliation payment to the Brattleboro retreat.
So that would be healthcare or human services? That's feeling like they need to know about that too. I don't know if this would be Lynn's.
No, mental health.
Is this mental health?
I think, yeah, it is, and I will ask them about it.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm thinking some of these we're gonna just wait because we want the committees to take a test.
Maybe a standard amount.
Right, and that's what we don't know. So a quick check with Alyssa would be great. Okay. Thanks, Grady.
On page 4, so this is section C104 of the governor's FY26 budget recommendation, further amending Act 113, section D101, the transfers section. This and the following section reflects what Emily just testified on. So these are further updates to a section that is already being amended in the budget adjustment.
These are all the same amounts. And this happened last year, and I didn't understand it last year either. The exact same reversions were in the budget adjustment and in the budget.
There was some, I think, slight changes, if I recall, and just to make it easier.
They put the
last
whole
one
thing
up to
in.
The finish line is the one that rules, so.
So if we pull this in, it can just go away, right?
We wouldn't have to do it again.
Right.
theoretically.
Right, so this is just adding one new transfer in this section.
New transfer.
First, joint fiscal, the one that I'm aware of that I was speaking Grady is the transfer from the T fund to the fund of $2.3 million.
How is it? And,
I'd like to check with our transportation analyst, just verify that.
okay,
But there should be a transfer from the T fund to the fund to deal with the revenue downgrade that happened to the fund.
so that's on page 5, letter E, for 2.3 million. Okay, so we may not do that either. You can ask another question.
Okay, so on page 4, the state liability self-insurance fund, 3 million, is that new or was that already existing and just being duplicated?
That is also new in this version of the section.
I mean, it may be that there's a shortfall there and we need to fill it, but I guess I'd like to look, I mean, the one above it, the permit fee, we already talked about that, the 900,000.
Right, all those
The
other,
correctional fund we did.
Yep, the
medical
medical
insurance
insurance
we talked about. So I guess
the ERAF we did,
I would be inclined, rather than rush,
yeah.
quick look at that to hold,
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
Let's just hold on this whole fund transfer one. Because you can't hold on just one of them. You have to
Well,
hold
no,
on
the
second.
other, we're already doing.
Yes, so yes.
It's a package. You either pull this whole thing in or you leave it all out, right?
So there are 2 transfer updates in that section that are not in the current BAA section. So that would be the committee's decision to pull in these additional transfers.
O and E. I think we're not ready to pull in either of those at this point, Grady.
On page 9, this is section C105 of the governor's recommended FY 2026 budget, amending the FY 2025 budget, section D 102. So this is, you'll see here, shortened, just pulling out the reversion here, of $3 million.
Yeah, I think that they're gonna have to take a look at this.
Oh, this is, this is that weatherization grant. And this appeared, remember there's that line in the agency administration. That, VHFA was fine with this, and it is,
Oh, we had the language, but not the money? But it looks like the money's going to the,
State liability, the other
Sure.
2 million we just said, hold on.
to offset transfer to the state. That sounds,
Okay, the
Right.
3 million that was back here.
right,
So we said, let's get into that.
right.
And this is the other, this is the offset.
Well,
You had great intention, Grady. Thank you for trying to help us on
except,
fiscal year 26, except.
so that reverts to the general fund, but what is, if this one is following amounts are transferred from the funds, from the general fund too, right? No, it's, they're using reverted funds to go to something,
To the
that's to the
liability.
liability,
Yeah.
right?
Which was on the other page.
Right.
Form.
Yeah.
So
That's
you
the
either-
reversion.
You either do both or not.
Right,
Mhm.
and if we don't understand where it's going to, then we can't do this one.
Probably simple, and legit, I just,
Right, no, I agree, I think we should hold off on that. Okay,
unless there's a emergency that we need to take care of.
okay, let's try for C 106, Grady, see what happens with that one.
So on page 10, section C 106, this is a recommended change to appropriations made in the one-time section of Act 78, the 2024 fiscal year budget. So you'll see here, the proposed amendment is to extend the Blueprint for Health Hub and Spoke program pilot. So it's changing a 2-year pilot to a 3-year pilot. It is not amending any financial amount.
Money is not, is this because it got delayed in starting, I think?
Yes, so this would allow for carry forward in FY 26.
Right, okay, we heard something about that earlier today, this was one I'm fine with.
Okay.
That seem okay to people? All right, let's do that one.
On page 12, this is Governor recommend FY 26, section E 100.1. This is also making an update to section B 1100 of Act 78. This is adding language to increase flexibility of an appropriation for FEMA related costs.
So
That's the language.
this is, Doug came in and
Yeah.
talked to us about it, and I felt generally comfortable with 2. We haven't really talked about it as a committee. I did not want number 4 to do that. We were not ready for that. That was the 30 million, and Doug said he didn't.
Okay.
The number 2 was the one that he was most concerned about, but we actually haven't had a conversation about whether we want to do that or not.
After he explained the context of the 500 million of money going in and out, I am fine with the first one personally. And I agree with you, full on the second language.
Yeah.
Is that a number 4?
Number 4, we're not gonna do.
But all that's happening there is.
They're changing how they're using the money.
Right, okay. Yep.
And it may be totally fine, but it's opening it up to.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Okay, but the 15 seemed all right to just add an additional thing to do. Are people okay with that number 2?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if that works, Grady, if we take part of this section and not the whole section.
Yeah, I'll just remember to juggle that.
So we'll just say no on 4, but okay on 2. Okay.
On page 14, so this is Governor recommend FY 26, section E 312.1. Again, further amending section B 1100 of Act 78. So this is also attached to that extension of the hub and spoke pilot program. So this, if the committee were to accept the earlier changes, would also be changed.
Right, so we okay on that? This is just, again, it got started late, so they're gonna just let it go with it, extend it, which we just agreed to on that other one. So, okay, we're good on that one, Grady.
On page 15, this would be a new section added to the budget adjustment. This would be amending 2023 Acts and Resolves number 47 as it relates to VHFA's rental housing revolving loan program.
That's right.
So this came from House General recommended language to increase program flexibility for that program.
Right, because it was, the 3% didn't work.
Correct. So it has.
An amount otherwise authorized by the agency, so they had more flexibility, and they were fine with that, and you were fine with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll be judicious, and can report back.
Okay. Okay.
Do you have
Thoughts?
It's, if I'm not mistaken, this has to do with the fact that the increases in insurance, increases in overhead for nonprofit housing agencies, anybody who receives, any nonprofit housing agency that receives federally based money or HUD money, like this money from HFA, cannot raise their rent more than a certain percentage. And they are getting hammered by that, they would be judicious about whatever increases, but unlike the privates, they can't just say, I gotta cover my nut, my
Right.
lump nut for it, and so I think that's what this is about,
That's right.
is that they still have to apply to VHFA in order to increase rent, but their margins have just crunched down because the increases of costs that they don't have to pay for.
So I think this is okay?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, is everybody okay on that one? Okay. So that's good. Great, thank you.
On page 16, this would be a new section amending 32 VSA 308B, the Human Services Caseload Reserve. So this would be adding language in sub C here to ensure that the Secretary of Administration transfers funds from that reserve to the Child Care Contribution Special Fund to support the Child Care Financial Assistance Program, CCFAP. I would note for the committee on this, this language will be just further updated a little bit after Secretary of Administration shall. I'll be adding in on reserve and to make sure that the funds.
Reserve and transfer.
Yep.
This is what we talked about in here and in House Human Services. So the caseload reserve flow between. Oh. So D sort of. So what about, you don't have to do it now, but. So this is good, and I wonder if, at some point, we will want to say at a certain point in time, the Child Care Special Fund might end up contributing to the Human Services Caseload Reserve. I don't know how the money gets into that. That's a longer conversation, but that's a, Nolan, do you have any thoughts on that? Teresa had mentioned at some point whether we would ever have to think about that.
I mean, recently we're thinking about down the road, and
Don't need to think about it right now.
I don't think so.
Okay,
No, I think because it's a special fund, the money will just sit in the special fund.
right.
I think at that point, there was a need to move it to the caseload reserve, you would wanna just do a transfer from.
Okay, and then we would do that in legislation. Okay. Okay, and so this is actually really nice for the Child Care Special Fund that they don't have to contribute into this human caseload, I keep saying this the wrong way, Human Services case. caseload reserve, but they can utilize it, so that's nice. Okay.
On
Good
page
with that? Are we good with that language? Are people okay with that language? Okay, thank you.
On page 18, this would be in addition to section 49 of the budget adjustment. So this would be adding in another appropriation to fiscal year 2025, section B 1100 miscellaneous one-times. This would be an appropriation of $2.8 million to the VHCB. So this would be supporting the developmentally disabled housing initiative.
Right, so this is the language to go with the spending authority for that. We need to be specific with that. Okay. Great, thank you.
On page 19, this would be a new section. This is report language for the Department of Corrections relating to a strategic plan for the financial sustainability and program efficacy of facility work programs.
Is there any money attached to this, Trevor?
No,
Okay,
this is language provided by House Corrections and Institutions. And, well, Grady and I wordsmithed it a little bit. And I sent it back to them and they haven't got back to me, but it's materially the same.
yeah,
So we may not want to say yes, but now let's please.
okay. Well, why don't we say yes for now and you'll tell us if it needs to change? Okay, but is everybody basically okay with that concept of what they're doing here?
This is approving a study.
It's telling DOC to create a plan, a strategic plan. And then making sure that they report back on a timely basis about any issues they see with the program, because what they're saying, if they're correct, is that this deficit in that program isn't something that happened yesterday. It's happened over a number of years. Why weren't people sort of saying, we need to fix this?
On page 21, so this is the language. This is an updated language that you saw yesterday that Representative Iacovone mentioned earlier this afternoon. So this is adding in the word Vermont and residential mental health providers, clarifying residential mental health providers rather than just mental health providers.
So this is related to the $10 million. And we wanted to make sure that all the right facilities were included and that they have some plan to achieve sustainability. So there's some oversight about this. That's the oversight piece that we're talking about. Yeah, you have more to say. I just took your thunder.
Oh, no. No, this, both chairs have approved this language. This came from AHS with, our original language just had a few tweaks, and AHS sent us this, and so.
Right, so this accompanies that $10 million that we're doing. Yes.
And what is the last phrase?
And other providers of healthcare and human services.
Well, they need.
Who might that include?
FQHC.
Yeah, FQHCs.
Or other providers that need it. Well, it's kind of,
Providers who accept Medicaid.
yeah,
Yes.
Medicaid. And it's just the providers that are demonstrating financial needs that are, it was meant to, the original language was meant to expand it beyond just the treatment center.
Yeah.
So that's what the and other. But this whole language is about trying to find that compromise to make sure that the substance use treatment center, residential treatment center still get the money.
Right.
So this is like that compromise to make sure everybody's sort of captured. There, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
So people okay with that? All right. So, Grady, I'm just gonna go back to the beginning. We won't go through it all again. I think we're okay on this, the state place students. That's what I gathered. At this point, we are not sure about the 5 million gap split off or the 11 million for the Brattleboro retreat. We are not gonna do the section D 101 transfers.
Other than what's already in the.
Yeah, we'll just leave the BAA the way it is. We're holding on the D 102 reversion of the 3 million from VHFA because it's the 3 million of the other thing, so. But we're okay on extending the C 106, we're okay. We're okay on the 15 million that Doug came in to talk to us about on section 2 of this section E 100.1, but not section 4, so we're just gonna put section 2 in. That's what they needed. We were okay on 312.1 on page 14. And the VHFA, or amount otherwise authorized for the agency on 15. On 16, we are okay, except Grady's gonna add shall unreserve and transfer. We're okay on page 18, section 49. That's the 2.8 million for the third pilot demonstration project. We were okay on the corrections on page 19. And we were okay with the page 21 and 10. Okay. And we have more language to come. We have some GA language that you should have. Let me just check my little notebook about language. It's still off. Because it's about SNAP language. And
The committee reviewed that yesterday.
maybe already reviewed that. Okay, and we reviewed the AEL language. Yes, for the kids getting the certificates. This is stabilization, correctional. We reviewed the marriage license, AG position, the sergeant at arms, and the active duty. So we just need the GA one. Which is, we were given language, and maybe there's a little tweak to that, I don't know, but we were given language by Human Services. I think Katie McGlynn did it, so.
Correct.
Anybody else have any language that they're thinking about at this point? Is there anything else you're thinking of, Brady? Is that the last thing that you think of?
Maybe something will come to me in a dream.
Yeah, okay. But nothing else. Appreciate all your work on this. That's great. Thank you very much. Committee, we've had a long day. You guys have done great work. It's lovely. And now let me just see what we've got for tomorrow. We are going to do a few FY26 things. We're going to start off with that at 9 o'clock. Oh, some more. Oh, Stephanie's coming in to talk about some changes in section C related to DIVA. So we'll hear about that. And then the agency of ed is coming in too on some section. Section C again is the stuff that can relate to this year. So we could possibly put it in or not. And then we'll consider markup and have more discussions and have a straw poll sometime in the afternoon. And I know Lynn may or may not be available for a straw poll. John, you'd be available, you thought around 3:30?
3:30-ish, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm
The best way to be-
I'm assuming you're gonna spend almost all of your time tomorrow. Look up and
Yeah, whatever the last things are, we might, I don't know if we'll be done before 3:30, but I have no idea. So we can send you an email. Aaron will send you a Zoom link.
I'll give you the best you
And-
can send.
Okay, so, and then you can keep in touch that way about where we think we stand on all of
I
that.
can check in at noon too,
Okay,
so.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
that sounds good. Any questions from anybody else or JFO? Yet? No. Thank you all for your hard work.